We also asked some questions about taxes. We asked to rate their level of concern on three aspects of the overall tax situation in Utah. And the most important issue on voters' minds regarding taxes isn't specifically their tax burden, it's how their tax money is spent. And that was a little surprise when we first got that result in 2004, but it's been the same. Each of the 3 times that we've done this survey, the biggest concern among voters is how their tax dollars are spent, more than their actual tax burden. The next highest concern is spreading the tax burden fairly. That has fallen a little bit in level of concern, but still pretty high to rank at a 4 out of 5 on the level of concern. And then the overall tax burden. The tax burden, even though it's the 3rd one on this list, that's still a pretty high level of concern at about 3.8 out of 5. And we do know that Utah has a fairly high tax burden. We rank in the teens, somewhere around 12 or 13 in the nation in terms of our tax burden as a share of our incomes. And that really relates to the number of kids we have and the amount of money. Even though we're not spending a high amount per pupil on education, the amount that we do spend is a significant proportion of our budgets. We also asked this interesting question about voters' perception on how heavy the tax burden is on these major taxes that the state levies and the local entities levy. And it's kind of interesting to look at this data because it's almost backwards from what the real tax burden is. When we look at tax burden numbers at Utah Foundation, the sales tax is the biggest tax in Utah. When you add up the state and local portions of it, the sales tax is our biggest tax. We would typically pay more in sales tax than we would pay in income tax, but yet it ranks at the bottom of the list in terms of the perceived burden. We think it's probably because you don't get a bill at the end of the year telling you how much sales tax you paid. And so when you pay it in small amounts with every transaction, the administration of that tax makes its perceived burden to be much lighter than the others. So the income tax ranked the highest, but pretty much tied with property tax. Property tax in Utah actually is quite low. If you rank the taxes that we pay, it's sales tax first, then income tax in terms of burden, and then property tax. And the gas tax, gasoline tax, ranks quite low in terms of how much of our incomes we pay in gas tax, but I think people get that issue mingled with the actual price of gasoline. The level of concern about it in 2008 was even higher because gas prices were higher then. But that's an interesting thing to think about when you are considering policy decisions, those of you who are running for office and those of you who might be lobbyists, the voters' perception about the gas tax is more negative than the actual burden of that tax really is on them. Okay, so that is all we have for the results of the survey. I just wanted to make a plug for the website. Our main website is utahfoundation.org, but we've set up a special project site called utahpriorities.net. And on either of those websites, you will find the full survey report today from Dan Jones. If you're a data geek like me and you love to just dig in and see all the information, there's 81 pages of bliss waiting for you on our website. We will be posting new research throughout the election season as we produce additional surveys and factual reports on these issues. We will eventually have some candidate profiles and questionnaires. We'll be working with our partner, KSL.com, to do some of this on their website as well. We hope to have some moderated chats with candidates along the way, forums on specific issues where people can post their opinions and ask for answers and ask questions. And so we invite you to take a look at that site and to frequently look at it through the year. We want to thank our partners in creating the Utah Priorities Project. We want to thank the Hinckley Institute of Politics, which is doing a lot with us in holding forums and debates and discussions with policy experts and candidates. We want to thank KSL TV Radio and KSL.com. I want to thank the Deseret News as well. We also want to thank the generous financial sponsors of the project, Rio Tinto, the George S. and Dolores Dory Eccles Foundation, Union Pacific Foundation, Regents Blue Cross Blue Shield, Questar, Merit Medical, Wells Fargo, Rocky Mountain Power, and Utah Transit Authority. We also want to thank our luncheon sponsors, the Utah Education Savings Plan, Intermountain Healthcare, and Zions Bank. We want to thank every one of you for your contribution in buying a ticket to this event today. We really appreciate your support and your interest in this. And with that, I believe we're done early. So thank you.